But first, our top story, the clock is ticking for Congress to pass health care reform this year that would both stop tax dollars from going to abortion and would defund Planned Parenthood. Republican senators have until September 30th to use a special budget procedure to pass legislation with a simple majority of 51 votes. And what's seen as a healthcare Hail Mary pass, Senators Lindsey Graham and Bill Cassidy are proposing a healthcare reform bill that would stop tax dollars for abortion, defund Planned Parenthood, and would redirect tax dollars to community health centers. The bill is also sponsored by Senators Dean Heller and Ron Johnson. Democrats are unanimously against the bill, so Republicans would lose the vote if just 3 GOP senators oppose it. Senator Roy Blunt of Missouri joins us now from Capitol Hill. Thank you for your time.
Well, Catherine, nice to be with you. Thank you for your work.
Senator, you endorse the Graham-Cassidy legislation. Why is this health care reform you think pro-lifers should get behind?
Well, I think it's another step in the direction of reaffirming our commitment to pro-life issues as a Congress and as a country. So far this year, probably the most important thing we've done in the long term is put a judge on the Supreme Court that we think will look at the law and try to interpret the law and the Constitution, and rather than to try to determine what the law should have said in a judge's opinion, what the law and the Constitution do say. We think that's good for the pro-life cause. The elimination of that last Obama regulation that would have prevented states from not using Planned Parenthood as a provider. And then in all of the versions of trying to move on from Obamacare, every one of the versions the Senate voted on included strong pro-life language, as does the Graham-Cassidy. I was glad to be the first member of Republican leadership to join those 2 senators and others in advocating that this is the direction we ought to be looking. More choices to the states, but more protections for life.
Many see this Graham-Cassidy bill as a last-ditch effort, unlikely to pass. Do you expect your fellow Republican senators Murkowski and Collins will support it? They have both defended Planned Parenthood.
Well, I think it gives so much discretion to states. I hope that all of my colleagues can look at that and think that that's not only the right way to provide health care, but it's a conservative Republican view of getting decisions made closer to people. In terms of the Graham-Cassidy structure itself, again, even though it makes our job more difficult, we're trying to do this in all cases in ways that provide pro-life protections.
We are 9 months into this administration now. You mentioned some of the pro-life accomplishments so far, but many pro-lifers are impatient. Planned Parenthood is not yet defunded. What are you going to do, Senator, to ensure that that happens?
Ideally, I'd like to see the administration return back to where President Reagan and his predecessor, President Bush, or his successor rather, were. For 12 years. We had by executive order that you couldn't give family planning money to any organization that also performed abortions. That's the cleanest way to do this. It's certain in its determination, and it's been upheld by the Supreme Court.
Senator, if Congress cannot defund Planned Parenthood, what will this mean for the 2018 elections?
People who are focused, as you and I are, on this issue should be looking at what has been done, about the willingness to vote on these issues, even if the vote was unsuccessful on the floor, as it turned out to be on repealing Obamacare, to continue to have the life issue as one of the front issues in this national debate.
Is it worth shutting down the government if pro-life measures don't pass? Is that something you would be willing to do? Do you think it's worth it?
I don't think shutting down the government's ever a very good strategy, and of course lots of other programs that people are committed to life support would be put at jeopardy, feeding programs and other programs if that happened. Now, if there's some strategy where that can produce a final result, that's a different thing rather than just to try to prove a point. So far, shutting down the government's never been a very valid point prover. I don't think it would be there. But being willing to put people on record does have lasting impact on what voters get to know about the people they send to Washington, the people they elect to office, I think ultimately that's one of the better things we can do, and we clearly have shown we're willing to do.
Senator Roy Blunt of Missouri, thank you for your time.
Thank you.